Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of obscure, well, sort of obscure toy lines. So this week we're going to take a look at another 6 that might have fallen off your radar. We'll start off with the PuttPutt Raceway by Mattel from 1975. Okay, first off, I think I should be applauded for not going for the layup and using the Corey Feldman PuttPutt train commercial from 1976. So, the Mattel PuttPutt toy line was part of the large wooden Little People's line. The PuttPutt series was made in the 70s, consisting of the Raceway and train set. They were made of wood and they had a wind-up mechanism that you could use the Little People toy as a winding key. The cars measured 4.5 inches with rounded edges as well. The line ran for a few years and they all had the wind-up mechanic, including the cars, trains, and a wooden boat for your tub. Next up, I hope is really obscure. This is the Back to the Future 2 Micro Action, 1989 by Racing Champions. Clearly inspired by the Micro Machines, which were everywhere in the late 80s, Racing Champions created the Micro Action series. These were small vehicles measuring around 3 centimeters that were based on cars seen in the film Back to the Future 2. Among the lineup was, of course, the Time Machine, along with the futuristic police cars. However, one of the more interesting releases was the Texaco branded Hoverport. This service station was meant to appear in the sequel to show how different things were in the future as people filled up their flying cars at a free-floating gas station. However, the scene was scrapped, ensuring that this was the only reference of this interesting idea. Mantec by Remco, 1984. Mantec was yet another shot by Remco to stay in the toy line game. This was getting close to the end of their run as a toy company. They were trying to hit that sweet spot that was between the action, kind of like the He-Man archetype figures, and the robot craze that was going on at the time. Mantec toys were your basic good guys versus bad guys models. The toy line gimmick was interchangeable body parts. Each figure could change their arms, their legs, their helmets, their weapons to create new characters. Even the original ad for the toy mentioned a cartoon was in development, which sadly never saw the light of day. The Mantec line boosted 6 figures, 3 good guys, 3 bad guys, each with their own unique helmet and color scheme. Boosted? You know I meant boasted. Next up we have Wrist Racers from 1980 by Knickerbocker. The launch pad for the wind-up marvels called Wrist Racers was worn around your wrist like a watch, which meant that you had to lie face down on the floor to play with them. Launching them from a standing position didn't really work that well. Wrist Racers are wind-up cars that can be stored on a wristband. The band also had a pull-out ramp so that you could launch them directly from your arm. They have been made by several companies besides Knickerbocker. Some of the more notable wristbands that they had included the Dukes of Hazzard General Lee, the Dukes of Hazzard police car, Knight Rider, which was Kit, and the A-Team van. Now, like all of these, or at least some of these, you have to take them with a grain of salt, because there's always 1 or 2 people that say, that's not obscure, I remember it, yada yada, whatever. This is Super Joe by Hasbro, 1977. The Super Joe Adventure Team was on a smaller scale, 8 inches to 8.5 inches. The figures were produced partially as a result of the increasing cost of petroleum and partially due to the increasing popularity of the 8-inch figure from the Mego line. This was a direct competitor to Hasbro. The line only lasted from 1977 to 1978. It was the last G.I. Joe toy line prior to its relaunch as a Real American Hero. 4 Hero Joes and 3 enemies were in this 7-figure toy line. And last up this week, we'll take a look at the Clownarounds from Mego in 1980. Now, I'm going to say Mandela effect right off the bat because I always thought that these were Clownarounds, but apparently it's just called Clownaround. So, Clownarounds were a PVC character very similar to the Smurf line made in the same fashion. They were produced by Mego, and I think they were trying to capitalize on that collectible figure market that was going on at the same time. They were sold separately, or they were sold in multi-packs as well. So the Clownaround toys came in a variety of poses, actions, paint jobs, and themes, dozens, and the Loch means dozens of these clown toys were released, including playsets sold with unique characters. And that's going to do it for another episode, guys, of obscure, well, sort of obscure toy lines from the 70s and 80s. As always, guys, I appreciate the likes, comments, and views, and if you have any suggestions of a toy line that we haven't covered yet, please leave it down in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.